on the blue line, I think the irony of this all is for 2 or 3 years in a row, the Flames added defensemen so they didn't have to use a relatively untested at that point Oliver Shillington. And so they traded for Derek Forbort, and they traded for Oscar Fantenberg, both times conditional 4th round pick to the LA Kings for those gentlemen. And this year, I think they're probably looking at another kind of Fantenberg-y 440 trade, in the sense that if you are someone who looks at the Flames they're pairing and goes occasionally through your hands as you're watching a game, oh dear God, why are they playing Zadorov so much? We're here to talk to you, friends, because I think in an ideal world, the Flames feel they have on the right side 4 reliable defensemen. I broke this down on the site on a depth chart piece early this week. On the right side, you got Chris Tanev, you got Rasmus Andersson, you've got Eric Branson, and you got Michael Stone, who never plays, but when he does play, he's perfectly fine. Like he's playoff experience. He's 30 something. He knows what he is. He's a good stopgap guy. So you got 4 guys with NHL experience you feel comfortable with. On the left side, as we mentioned, Hanifin, Shillington, Zadorov, and then after them you have Connor Mackey, who's never played a playoff game, and you have Valimaki, who's played less than a half. And Valimacky's still a project. He's missed 1.5 years of his development. He's
currently missing time right now, isn't he?
He's injured again, and when he has played in Stockton, I'll say this: I watched a few of his games he played. He's pretty good. Is he better than Connor Mackey? I don't know. They're both about as good as each other. And actually, offensively, and I don't want to say this to be mean, but on a points per game basis and on an overall basis, Greg Morrow, AHL signee Greg Morrow, formerly of, I forget where, somewhere in college. I forget. Greg Morrow, I apologize for forgetting where the Flames signed you from. But Greg Morrow, relative to the games he's played, has generated more offense than Yusuf Valimaki. And since Yusuf Valimaki's arrived in Stockton, Connor Mackey has been a more consistent offensive player. Granted, there's more to the game than that.
It reflects. Mackey's on the tax squad right now. Is there bona fide if something happens off? Stone's still there.
To be honest, I think he's up because they didn't really have, like, let's play devil's advocate. Who, if not him, who?
Who else? Is it going to be one of the veteran guys that they signed? You're not bringing up Gravel. You're not bringing up DeSimone. You're not bringing up those guys. It was Mackey. It was Mackey or Valimaki. Valimaki's hurt, and you know what? And we always, like I said, we still have Stone. Like Stone's still there. Stone can still plug in. If anyone needs a game off, it doesn't seem like any of them ever want to take a game off with the way they're playing. They're having a lot of fun playing the game of hockey right now.
Hey, hockey's fun when you're playing well, man.
But you mentioned a guy that can play defense and possibly, replace Zadorov's impact and still be able to bring that defense. And so we looked at a few depth options.
Yeah. What Shane and I did, folks, was we did 2 things. We went to 2 places, and we'll plug the places we went to because these people are doing fine work that deserves recognition. First of all, we went to The Athletic, and our friend Dom Lesession, was that Dom? Let's just call him Dom. I always think I'm getting his name right, and I never am. So Dom, I apologize if I get your name wrong. But Dom does the playoff odds, the playoff prediction, the playoff weighting things. He basically, projections is the word. Dom does playoff projections based on various factors, the percentage chance a team has to make the playoffs. So what we did was we looked at the teams that are around 90% chance of missing the playoffs. Teams, the long shot teams. And so we wrote down the names of those teams. And after that, we went to Puckpedia, and we said, okay, who's a pending UFA? The Flames cannot afford, based on paying Gaudreau, paying Tkachuk, probably paying Mangiapane, probably paying Shillington. With all the things they have to do, they can't afford to bring on anyone with term or anyone who's a restricted free agent who could accept a qualifying offer. They have enough problems as is. So we're looking at pure rentals. So of the teams that are out, pure rentals, and then we went to evolving hockey and we looked at goals above replacement. The argument is, if you're going to do this, if you're going to expend, if you're trading Matthew Phillips, if you're trading Glenn Gaudin, if you're trading a 5th round pick, 4th round pick, whatever, if you're spending assets to get a defenseman, they better be an upgrade on Nikita Zadorov. Those are the criteria we have. So Jen and I have come up with a few names. One of them, I think Shane will be rather familiar to Flames fans.
You guys are gonna like this, and he's got playoff experience. If you love the intangibles, he's a left-hand shot. He's played a lot of games. He's never really gotten into a full season still, but he's played over 200 games. Yeah, he's played over 200 games at the NHL level now. 26 games the last 2 playoffs. I'm talking about friend of Calgary, Brett Kulak. And I can't even remember. Ryan, once upon a time, do you remember what we gave him to Montreal for?
Well, here was the situation. So when this will sound really funny in retrospect, given what the situation the Flames are in, but bear with me. So the Flames, they had Brett Kulak, and Brett Kulak was a mid-round pick. I think he was a 4th-round pick, and I forget the year. 4th rounder, because the Flames just make hay in the 4th round. So Brett Kulak came in, good AHLer, came in, good third pairing NHLer, steady third pairing guy. Did he have a ceiling above third pairing? Who knows? On a bad team, probably. In Calgary, with the guys they had, maybe not. So what happened was the year that Juuso Välimäki went pro, I believe it was 1920. I think it was 19. It was 1819 or 1920.
He got traded in 2018.
Yeah, so it was 1819. So the year that because Juuso Välimäki's a late birthday, so Juuso Välimäki was going pro, and the thought process was, it became very clear to the Flames 2 things. One, they, Brett Kulak's representation just did not see eye to eye with the Flames in terms of not so much. It wasn't so much. I know folks will say, oh, they went to arbitration and someone's feelings got hurt, one or the others, and it just soured the relationship. I don't think it was that. I think the problem was you sit down and it's like, Shane, we've all been on dates before, and you go on dates and it's, even if the person seems perfectly nice, it's pretty clear if it's just not going to be a fit. And sometimes it's clear on the first date. Sometimes it takes you a couple months, but eventually you figure it out. So it became, I believe, very clear during the talks in the run up to salary arbitration that what Kulak's camp thought he would be in Calgary, as in his growth trajectory and what they would do to make room for him to do that, wouldn't quite work out here. Part of the reason was on the left side, they had Juuso Välimäki, and not just Juuso Välimäki, but Juuso Välimäki was turning pro. And so they had Välimäki turning pro, and after the salary arbitrations, this thing went on and he signed his deal from arbitration. It became really clear that Välimäki was probably going to make the team. Like, he was really, really, really good in camp. And so during that training camp, after the first little bit, they made a trade with the Montreal Canadiens. And granted, I think they could have made a better trade. I don't know what the market was for him. I don't talk to GMs like the Flames do, but they traded Brett Kulak, who had already gone through waivers earlier, and I believe
Matt Teorma and Rinat Valiev.
AHL All-Star Matt Teorma and depth defenseman Rinat Valiev. Both of and to be here's a spoiler for you folks. None of those players are playing pro hockey in North America right now. So the Flames traded Kulak to Montreal, and Kulak just kept Kulacking in Montreal. He's been a very productive third pairing guy in Montreal. He's been consistent. He's been upbeat. He's been Brett Kulak. He's been the same Brett Kulak that made you go, ooh, this guy's pretty good in Calgary. He's been that in Montreal. He is currently, Mr. Stevenson, making $1.85 million against his salary cap. Per our friends at Evolving Hockey, he is currently worth 2 goals above replacement. For comparison's sake, Nikita Zadorov is 0.5 goals below replacement level. If you look at the constituent elements, if you go to Evolving Hockey, they break things into 3 components: offense, defense, and penalties. He is basically a goal below replacement offensively. Kulak is. Zadorov is 1.4 goals, so Kulak's an upgrade. Defensively, Kulak is 2.5 goals above replacement. Zadorov is 1.6, again, an upgrade. And in terms of taking penalties or not, in terms of taking penalties or drawing penalties, Kulak is worth basically a half goal above replacement for penalties, whereas Zadorov is 0.7 goals below replacement. So basically, if your thought process is, well, the Flames like Zadorov because he's a good, shutdown D guy. Yeah, that's why they like him. And Kulak is, based on the numbers, better than him by a full goal at the thing he's the best at. And he's worth an extra 2.5 goals above replacement than Zadorov. So
And
it's
not like
basically you're upgrading the team.
And it's not like he's super undersized. He's 6'2", 197 pounds. Like, it's not like he's gonna get pushed around tremendously on the ice. He can still play. I do think that maybe they like that aspect of Zadorov. They really like that physical aspect.
He plays heavy. If you want to use the term, he plays heavy.
But I mean, with the rumor that they called, and I mean, I'm going to address this rumor right now. There's a rumor that, Flames have talked to the new GM, Kent Hughes, it's Kent Hughes, right?
It's Kent Hughes.
Yeah, for Ben Sherratt. And why wouldn't you call a brand new GM and set up connections with him well before the trade deadline? They're out of it. They're probably going to sell pieces. That's their big fish. So, you could start there and work your way down to a more functional component. Kulak's someone they're familiar with. He plays strong defense. He grades out both the eye test people like him, the analytics people like him. It's a good depth piece that I don't think would cost them. It might cost him more than a fourth. Maybe he might cost a third from next year's draft. That's fine. You look at the team and the way they're playing right now, they deserve the chance to have the depth.
And I'll say this:
I look at Valimaki or Mackey as someone who can slot into Hannafin or Shillington's spot. You got Stone that could play any of the three guys on the right side somewhat in a pinch, not probably really well. So you want someone else that can come in and replace the bigger guys and play the same kind of style of game. And that's what Kulak can do.
And I think if the idea is you need insurance, why Michael Stone's on the Flames roster? He's there for insurance because Michael Stone is reliable. The coaching staff knows him. The teammates know him. The goalies know him. He's reliable. Of all the guys you could be trying to add, the thing is, do you know who Brett Kulak broke in the NHL under? He broke into the NHL under the tutelage of Flames assistant coach Ryan Huska, who runs the defense. He broke into the NHL alongside Anderson and Shillington. Like, there's all these guys who he's been to camps with, he's come up in the system with. So if the idea is that you're just sort of taking the guy and plugging him in, and you need to, he might not play a ton. So are you willing to pay, let's say, 5th round pick, conditional 4th round pick, something like that, like 4th or 5th round pick, like a Fantenberg 4-port level investment? The cap hit is easy. We'll get into this a little bit, but I know, like, if cap hit was not an issue, I would say Calvin DeHaan or Mark Giordano would be the guys you look at. But the problem is the Flames, once, depending on what happens with the rest of the roster, like if Ruzicka is here to stay, if they're going to be carrying 23 guys till the bitter end, they're only probably going to be able to add about $5, maybe $6 million in cap hits. And so you're looking for bargains
or retention. But
that
costs you more.
So if the question is, you're going to pay a first for a Giordano who might only be playing on your 3rd pair anyway, or you're paying a 4th for Kulak, and then you still have about $4 million in cap space to go get a center, to go get another right wing, to go add something to your forward mix.